So guys, 1 minute and we're gonna start. So if anybody else is wanna show us an amazing background, you're more than welcome. Dani, you can also share with them the backgrounds that you made for the Masa community.
I'm not on that laptop. I'm not on my personal laptop.
It's okay, you don't have to.
I have it.
Oh no, I was gonna say I would, but I don't have them on this laptop.
Tomorrow I'll share the Google Drive link.
Not relevant, it's just for the Masabres. So
maybe you just imagine this is Israeli grass.
We're gonna start.
This is not Yarkon grass.
So shalom to everybody that are here with us. I have to say we are very excited to have this panel. This is something that we were talking about for a while now. My name is Tamar. I work for Masa or for the community, depends how you look at it, as the Masa community manager for the past 1.5 years. And here with us are 8 or 9 even alumni who are going to run this session of Aliyah panel with alumni, who each one of them is from different country, who did different kind of Masa program. And our goal is to help you understand what's going to be your next step and how to do the next step, but not from the officially point of view, but for the person who actually did it before. I myself, a native born Israeli, so that's the perspective that I can give you of how it is to be here and maybe accept all the amazing people who come from abroad to Israel. But I'm actually not going to be the one who's going to manage this session. It's going to be Garrett with the amazing background of the Masa community logo. In the end, this is going to be around 1.5 hours. It's going to be around 1.5 hours. And Garrett is going to explain a bit more soon. I just want to say that in the end of this session, I'm going to send you in the chat a short survey, also of how it was, but also of what kind of questions are left open. And the reason that we're going to do that is that we're building a bigger, I'll call it a course about making Aliyah to Israel that we're going to launch very soon for you guys. And we want to know exactly what you're looking for. Probably you saw me before on Facebook or emails. You know how to reach me. I'm here for you. And now I'm gonna move to Garrett Davis, an alumni from Be'er Sheva, and he's gonna tell a little bit about himself.
Hey everyone. So welcome to the first panel that we're doing. Hopefully we'll do more in the future. I made Aliyah in 2017 after completion of my Masa program. I moved to Be'er Sheva, which is not common at all for young Olim. I joined the Masabres right when it opened. What was that? About 1.5 years ago tomorrow, January 2019, right? Or something like that. So I joined from the beginning here in the South. So I'm part of the Masabres, and the Masabres, our mission is to build the Masa community and to make it grow and flourish, both within Israel and abroad, globally. And so far we have done a great job at that, and we continue to grow and learn from our mistakes and our experiences. So I'll explain the platform to you guys tonight. And just actually, before I do that, just a little bit more about the Masabres. So we're not just people who work or volunteer with Masa, but we're a group of alumni and current participants from different Masa programs, from different countries, all speaking a variety of different languages. We have a few Russian speakers, we have French speakers, we have people from the UK, we have a bunch of people from America, we have some Israelis in our group. So we're a real collective group of people trying to build a community. A bit about this evening to add on to what Tamar said. With the limited time we have, we're going to start by having the panelists introduce themselves. I sent them a list of questions that I wanted them to answer, basically a brief summary about themselves. From there, we're going to go into questions that we received via the Google Form survey that was sent out about a week prior to tonight. So I wrote down a few questions and we'll let a few of the panelists answer those questions. And then after that, we'll go into questions from you guys that you guys have now that were not submitted before. And the way that's going to work is through the chat in Zoom. I hope most of you guys know how to use it. If not, there's an option on the bottom of your screen if you move your mouse to hit the chat. And then on the bottom right, you need to select my name and submit the question to me. I will not be able to respond via messaging and typing, but I will see all of your messages. I do have that open on my screen. So let's get started, and we'll start with Dani to introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Dani. I'm originally from the UK. I'm from Essex originally. And I did Masa in 2017. I did a WUJS program, which is an internship program. So I spent 6 months living in Florentine, in Tel Aviv, interning at APL company. And actually Tamar was my madricha. So then I went back to the UK for 2 years and made Aliyah in March of 2019. I was 24 and I'm 25 now. And I live in Tel Aviv now. So yeah, that's just a quick intro on me.
Okay, next we'll have Tamara talk to us about her.
Hi, my name is Tamara. I did Aliyah from Brazil. I did Aliyah like a year and a half ago, 2018, end of 2018. Before that, I did a Masa program called Israel Government Fellows. It is an internship program together with the educational part. I did an internship in the Ministry of Tourism in Jerusalem. So while I was in this program, I lived in Jerusalem. When I did Aliyah, I was 23 years old. I lived in Jerusalem, so I did an ulpan in Jerusalem for 6 months. After that, I started looking for a job, and now I moved to Petah Tikva, where I'm working. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Tamara. Anna, if you want to go.
Hi, everyone. My name is Anna Levitin. I was born in Russia, St. Petersburg, and I made my Aliyah about 2 years ago. Before I made Aliyah, I had 2 Masa programs by Israel Experience. The first program was status and another one master. So basically one is internship and another one was ulpan. The first one was in Ra'anana and the second one in the middle of Tel Aviv. So I made my Aliyah when I was 29. Now I'm almost 32. And yeah, I live in Tel Aviv.
Amazing. Sebastian, would you like to go?
Yeah, so I'm half Ukrainian, half Venezuelan. I did the Aliyah relying on the Ukrainian roots. It was in 2013 and 2014. It was called the Sela program from Israel Experience. It's 8 months long and it's for youth from 18 to 21. And after I finished that program, I did get in Sabah. And that was at Ra'anana. And after that, I joined the army. Now I'm studying and currently living in Haifa. It's in the north region. That's it.
Can you quickly take a second to explain what the Sabara program is for people who don't know?
Oh, sure. So the Sabara program is also an Aliyah program and a preparing program for people that are expecting to be joined into the army, that are expecting the service. So it's a 3-month program that helps you to improve your Hebrew and your skills about the army and your knowledge about the army. So you're prepared for the army when the draft is coming up. It gives you a lot of information. Also, it gives you a place to live, and you just basically have to learn Hebrew and learn how the army works and what do you want to do in the army. That's it.
Amazing, and I'm sure we're gonna have a bunch of questions for you from people who want to join the army. Hannah, would you like to go?
So hi everyone. So I'm Anna. I met Aliyah from France, Paris. I did a Masa Alumni, which is like an internship where I wanted to experience the lifestyle and working in Israel. And I met Aliyah right after Masa directly. I finished my program and I met Aliyah from Tel Aviv. And it was in 2016. And now I'm an architect and I open my own business and I live in Tel Aviv.
Amazing. Yoel?
Yeah, sure. Hey guys, my name is Yoel or Yoel, whichever one you can pronounce. I made Aliyah about a year and a half ago. Well, I made Aliyah just over a year ago, came to Israel about a year and 6 months ago. Came first through a Masa career development program called Israel Experience. Did an internship for 5 months. Did a few different internships during that time. And I'm living in Tel Aviv right now. And I did the internship program when I was about 27. And now I am 29.
Amazing. Awital?
Hello, everybody. My name is Avital. I'm from the Netherlands, and I made Aliyah a year and a half ago almost. Around 3 years ago, I joined Masa. I did a program of 5 months in Tel Aviv. When I came back home, I missed Israel so much, so I made Aliyah. Another Masa program organizer, and I live in Tel Aviv. And I was 23 years old when I made Aliyah, and I'm now 25.
Amazing. And finally, Hem, if I'm pronouncing that right.
Hi everyone, I'm originally Jem, but in Israel they call me Kem, Hem, Sam, and it's all fine. I'm used to it and I embrace them all. So I'm from Turkey. I did Masluliship program. Now they changed the name to Maslul. It's a program that you can build your own program, whatever you want to do, like volunteering, studying, or I don't know, dance class, something like that. You just tell them and they find you the right match. So as part of the program, I was studying my master's degree in business in Technion for 11 months in 2015. I went back to Turkey after that, and 2 years later, in 2017, I came back to Israel as Aliyah, and now I'm living in Tel Aviv.
Amazing. So those are all of our panelists for the evening. We were supposed to have one other, but he is currently sick, so he will not be able to join us. I hope he feels better. I do want to mention that some of the panelists don't just speak English, but all of us do speak English. So if there's someone who only speaks Russian and their English is not so good, you are more than welcome to ask the question, try to type it to me in English, and then I'll say it in English, and hopefully the person will be able to answer in Hebrew or in Russian or in French or that native language for you guys to make it easier. Because I know for a lot of people, English is not their native language, and explaining things in English can be confusing and complicated at times. So I'm going to start going over the questions that we had via the Google form. The first question that kept being asked in different forms was, what cities are the most expensive and what cities are the least expensive? Do any of the panelists want to answer this? I'll let Dani go first here. She seems happy.
I can only give you my experience from living in Tel Aviv, and that is that it is extremely expensive. I think Israel as a country is pretty expensive, at least compared to the UK. Tel Aviv, I mean, it's expensive. It depends, obviously, what you're working as. I would imagine if it's something like you're a student, it's going to be, like, the rent is pretty expensive. If you want to live kind of in the center of Tel Aviv and you're looking at sharing, like, an apartment with someone, you're still looking at, like, a minimum of, I would say, 3,000 shekels for rent a month. So I don't know about other places. I know that Haifa and Beersheba are, from what I understand, somewhat cheaper, but I'm sure, Garrett, you can elaborate on that.
I do have a question for you. So in Tel Aviv, you said the rent's around 3,000. What is that rent for? Is that for a single room in a shared apartment, or is that for an entire?
Yeah, I mean, it depends which area in Tel Aviv you go for. I live on, like, Ben Yehuda Bogoshov, so like right by the beach, anything in that area. I mean, if you go somewhere like Florentine, you go more towards the north, go to the outskirts of Tel Aviv, that price drops a little. It also depends like how many housemates you're living with and, you know, all that kind of thing. Like on average, like I know my brother's currently trying to make Aliyah from the UK, and one question he had for me was like, how much on average should I expect to spend on rent per month in Tel Aviv? And I said, you know, anywhere between like 2,800 at the cheapest upwards. I mean, like if you want a studio, like a really nice studio on your own, you could be paying like 5.5. It really like is a range, but on average, like if you want to live with housemates, somewhere like decent with not too many housemates, 3,000.
Yeah, I'll jump in and I'll give my 2 cents also on rent, just to give you another perspective. So like the rent that I have now, I'm paying 3,000. I have 2 other roommates, and my place came completely furnished. I'm living in Florentine though, so it's a little bit more in the south, but it's like a really nice renovated apartment, fully furnished, like bed, desk, came with like a TV, everything, and couch. So 3,000 with everything furnished, 2 roommates. And then before this, I was living in the center of Tel Aviv, right on Dizengoff and Ben Gurion. And I had 3 roommates, so we were 4 total. Each of us had a room, and it was a pretty big place, 2 bathroom. And each of us was paying 2,500, and it came partly furnished. 2,500, 2,600 partly furnished, but like a much older, not nearly as nice of a looking place. So just to give you another perspective on rent possibilities for Tel Aviv.
On the other hand, you have a city like Haifa that's pretty developed, and me myself, I'm paying 2,500, and I'm in a pretty big apartment. And well, Haifa, it's not like Tel Aviv, and obviously what you can earn here is a little bit lower, but I think that the prices here are pretty much 15 to 20% lower than Tel Aviv on almost everything.
I guess I'll jump in and throw in about Beersheba, because I know I'm one of the only people on the panel that lives in the south. Beersheba is a relatively cheap city. It's the university city because we have Ben Gurion University. Like my apartment I lived in and I live in since I've made Aliyah, it's 2 bedrooms with a large living room and a backyard. And without bills, it's about 2,500 a month. So it's relatively cheap compared to Tel Aviv. But every city has their ups and downs. And for Beersheba, one of the positive things is rent is cheap. So we'll go on to the next question from here. What are popular career fields right now that are very popular within Israel?
Garrett, the question is, what are popular career fields going on in Israel right now?
Correct.
I mean, tech is always a really good one. And you know, there are a lot like tech marketing. Like if you are in that space, it's a really good space to be in because they pay quite well, and there's a lot of job opportunity. And not that you shouldn't speak Hebrew, but you don't need Hebrew to work in any of those jobs. And that's the field that I work in now. So that's kind of my 2 cents on that piece.
Just to elaborate on that, because I also work in high tech as of Sunday. I would say that the one thing that I didn't quite realize about working in high tech here is that it's like, it encompasses so many different areas that you wouldn't necessarily think of as tech. So like sales is a really big part. That's something that if you're an English speaker is a really good opportunity to get into sales, HR, marketing, social media. Like it doesn't necessarily mean that like you have to come and be a developer, basically.
I also want to add that if like there are a lot of customer success positions that you can use your own native language, like from Portuguese to Italian, there are lots of job opportunities right now. So if you don't have any experience from before, you can just use your native language and start with customer success, and you can get in the tech companies, high-tech industry with this.
Also, English teaching is something that a lot of my friends do, or working in like nurseries, childcare. I know that that's something that like if you come here as an English speaker gives you an instant advantage, or as a second language speaker, like a non-Israeli speaker, a non-Hebrew speaker. That's something that you can do. I know a lot of my friends teach languages or tutor and make pretty good money doing that.
So going off of that question, another question we have is, other than Ulpan, and I know every city has different levels and different types of Ulpan, but other than Ulpan, what is a great way to learn Hebrew?
I can say something about it, maybe.
Sure.
So what I did in my Masa program during like studying Hebrew was volunteering in a kindergarten. So I think if you would come here, you have already a bit like a level of Hebrew, you can start working in a kindergarten, because these children, they don't understand that you don't really speak the language, so they will talk to you like the whole day in Hebrew. And then I think you would like practice really well.
Hannah, we haven't heard from you. Do you want to answer this as well?
Basically, just try to communicate as much as possible. It's a little bit tough since, for example, I'm working in a high-tech and marketing field, and the majority of my colleagues talk to me in English, but just constantly try to, try to change them to Hebrew. And yeah, like hang out with locals.
I can also share a good tip that I received when I met Aliyah. I went to Jewish school, so I want just a little bit of Hebrew, just as a basic. So people told me that I should buy a book that I know by heart in French and to buy it in Hebrew. And I learned a lot of words like this because I knew the book, like The Little Prince of Saint-Exupéry or whatever, and it was really useful because I know all the story. It was really easy story, and it was my first book I read in Hebrew, and it really helped. It was a good tip.
Actually, I do a similar thing with movies or series. Like if I know a movie very, very good and I open it on Netflix with Hebrew subtitles or Hebrew movie with English subtitles, Turkish subtitles, it's really helpful. And also don't hesitate to talk to people in Hebrew. Like if you go to a restaurant, don't hesitate, speak with the waitress in Hebrew and they will maybe answer in English, but it's okay, you just try it and they would, maybe it will be okay.
Another thing that I would say that worked for me, I already have a basis of Hebrew, but work with children helped me a lot because they correct you in a way that it's like simple ways for you to remember. So for me, working as babysitter with kids that don't speak English very well, more Hebrew, helping me a lot. And I say like work as waitress helps a lot too to practice if you already have a base of Hebrew. So, and don't be afraid to talk with Israelis because Israelis likes to help when you don't know exactly Hebrew well, especially if you come from different countries. They help you a lot in the bus, in whatever. Don't be afraid. I know they sometimes can be scary, but they help a lot, and try to, even if you know only 2 words, don't be afraid to talk to them. They will try to give you directions, even with mimicking or any other type of gestures.
I think the army is a very good place to learn also.
I want to say something.
I'll bless you to learn, basically.
Tamar, you wanted to say something you said? Tamar?
Yeah, sorry, I didn't hear. Say again.
I was at, no, Tamar. She said she wanted.
Oh, Tamar. I thought Tamar.
No, Tamar.
Sorry. internet is keep falling. As one of them,
Samar, if you hear me, we're losing you. You're cutting in and out a lot.
When someone is choosing to move a country, even though it's really, really, really not easy, this is something that you shouldn't put aside. This is like something for the first step. It's true. A lot of Israelis speak English. A lot of us even know Spanish from Chiquititas. A lot of the Israeli native Tzabar made Aliyah from Russia when they were kids. So they also speak that. But in the end, when you choose Israel, you choose a society and you choose you choose the movie and you choose theater and you choose a lot of things that it's going to be really hard when you're not doing that.
Samar, I think we lost you there.
Because a lot of the words that we say in the army are words that we use also when we finish the army, and it's part of the society. So I really support everything that people say, and I will say to everybody, it's hard to get a new language, but with that being said, that needs to be one of the first missions. Find an Israeli friend. Israelis, we want to learn Hebrew, your language. Don't, tell them, okay, I'll talk in my language, you'll talk in yours, and let's move forward with it.
Amazing, thank you. So the next question we're going to go to, is it easier to make Aliyah from within Israel or from abroad, from your own home country?
It's a difficult question to answer because you'll only ever do one. So
answer
it's kind
the
of
one you
hard
did.
I made Aliyah from England, and it was a pretty smooth process. I had everything done for me like in London, and then when I flew to Tel Aviv, I got off the flight. There's a phone on the wall next to where passport control is. You just pick up that phone and you say like, I'm here to make Aliyah. Someone takes you to an office. Because I came the day before Purim, they were like offering me like Oznei Haman and coffee and everything. And I was there for like an hour and a half. I came out with my ID card, a SIM card, cash, like my first payment of money in cash from the government. A voucher for a taxi. They came with me and got my suitcases, took me to the taxi rank, like health insurance, everything. It was like, I couldn't have, like, the process of actually making Aliyah could not have gone smoother for me. But I also know that hasn't necessarily been the experience of other people. But I can only say from my experience, it was super easy for me to do it inside of my own country.
Yeah, and I'll hop on and say that I did Aliyah from within Israel, but I knew I was going to make Aliyah after my Masa program. So I had since I'm from the States, I had asked Nefesh B'Nefesh, which is like our program that kind of helps us make Aliyah. I asked them, what's the paperwork that I need? And so I had all that paperwork already kind of done ahead of time and brought that with me. And so making it from within Israel was easy because I was in Israel, so it only made sense for me to make Aliyah from within Israel. But of course, I have friends who didn't have any of their paperwork organized. They didn't know if they were making Aliyah or not. And, they figured it out and got their paperwork together and made Aliyah. For some of them, it was a pretty smooth process. Some of them had some hiccups. I think it probably had to do with just getting the right paperwork in order. But in my opinion, I don't think it makes any difference. I think if you make Aliyah from outside of Israel, then you get the flight covered. And if you make it from within Israel, you don't get the flight covered because you're already here. So I think it's just from wherever you are, whatever is more comfortable. So I don't think there's a better option. It's just whatever is more comfortable for you.
Okay. We'll go on to the next question. Actually, I'm going to skip it because it was already answered. So one question that was asked was, if you don't have an established career that's common and popular in Israel, is it financially doable? Are you able to support yourself without having a career immediately upon arriving to Israel?
I will respond. So I think there are many different jobs over here. You can, for example, be a madriga or madrig, or like a counselor for one of the programs. If you did the program, a Masa program, you can reach out to them. Maybe they need help. Maybe you can even start working there. And there are many like starter jobs. Like you can work in a bar, you can work as in a gun, in a baby, like as a babysitter. But the thing is that you need to know. Maybe you will live like with 4 roommates, for example, or maybe you won't live alone because you will get like less money. That's what I did. I started working. I didn't even had a job when I came, so I choose to live in a house with 4 roommates, only one like a very old building, and it was very cheap. But this way, like I could come. But it's possible, like 100%.
Yeah, in my case, for this, in my case, for example, I came here without work too. So what I did while I was doing Ulpan, decided to do babysitting. A lot of people work on bars as a waitress because it's a way to help you with the Hebrew. Because I think most of the people that come here are more worried with the Hebrew, because I think is one of the biggest barrier we have when you do Aliyah. But as Avital say, they're like start jobs. So you start working for them for a couple of months or like 3 months or something, and then you start doing connections. That's important here, and you are able to go to other jobs. So now I'm working in a tourist agency, but I know it's because of Corona we're having problems. But regarding this, so I started as babysitter, then I started working at restaurants like that especially receive tourist groups, and I was step by step I was improving with my work. So not necessarily you need to have a career, you just need, I think it's better for you if you have like a plan, a start plan for how you want to start gaining money or how you want to start your life in Israel, and from there you can work with it. Not necessarily having already a job. Of course, for some people it will be easier. And as Avital said too, you won't be able to live by yourself. You need to have this in mind. You have like 4 roommates, you start living with roommates, and that's it. You need to have a lot of patience. It's not everything as you plan.
Also, there are, like in the hotel industry, there are lots of openings for newcomers that doesn't know Hebrew and speaks English. And they always encourage people to come and work there, and it's flexible hours. So you can do the ulpan in the morning and you can work at the hotel at night or in the evenings. Also, I think ulpan etzion, I didn't do it, but it's a good option also because they give you the accommodation and food and you don't pay. You just get your sal klita, the money you get from the government, you don't get it. And it goes directly to ulpan etzion. But they give you accommodation and you get new people to live with and to know. So it's a good option, I think.
So,
yeah. Sorry, Garrett, I just want to add just a little bit more back onto that one. So just to kind of branch off of what everyone else has said and what Tamara has said, I think kind of the answer is in the beginning, you might just have to be a little bit more practical and kind of get your hustle on a little bit in that first year. And maybe they're not like the most ideal jobs, but just to kind of land jobs that can pay you as you figure it out. And that's kind of what I did. Like the jobs that I have in tech, I don't necessarily want to be working in tech, but I got those jobs that I could sustain myself with. And then after work, I would always be networking and talking and applying to different places until I slowly got into kind of an industry that I actually wanted to get into. So that's kind of what I'm doing now, which like I'm doing tech, but then on the other side, I'm also doing like leadership and career coaching on the side, which is more so the field that I want to get into. So I think it's like start practical, and then kind of your secondary job is slowly getting into the fields that you want to get into.
Thank you everyone for answering those questions already. So I have a couple of questions from people that have messaged me. One of the first question I have is, from all the panelists, does anyone know if there's a best university to go study in English? If the one university is better than another in terms of English offered courses?
I haven't studied here, but I have friends that have. And from what I understand, IDC is a great option if you are wanting to study here in English. Again, I didn't study myself because I came here after I did my degree, but I know that IDC has a lot of courses in English and a lot of Olim that go there, and because it's in Herzliya, it's pretty close to Tel Aviv.
There's also Tel Aviv University that has a large selection of English courses. I am not familiar with what types of courses, but I know a lot of them are in English. And if I remember correctly, back in the beginning of this academic year, back in September, October, November, I read an article that a lot of courses are starting to go towards the English way, because English is they're trying to make English more prominent here in Israel than it has been in the past decade or so.
I know that IDC is particularly well known for their business and marketing and international relations, I believe. Someone asked, is there a university? Oh, there is a University of Nutrition in English.
I'm not sure about that.
Not aware.
I think that one would be a question directly for Nefesh B'Nefesh and your Aliyah advisor when you are to make Aliyah or pre-Aliyah.
I will say that the questions about a school needs to go to the Higher Education Authority for Olim. Feel free to write those types of questions in our groups, and they're going to answer it. They also see that, and I'm going to ask them.
This question is actually directly for you, Dani. When you made Aliyah from abroad, I think a lot of us can answer this as well, though. Did you arrange housing before you made Aliyah, or did you? How did you go about arranging housing, and was it easy or difficult?
So, with making, and I don't know if this is the same for everyone. I can only speak from like my own experience. One of the conditions of being able to get the Aliyah visa in my passport was that I had to give them an address of where I was arriving. And it couldn't be an Airbnb and it couldn't be a hotel. So it either had to be a friend's house, which is where I stayed with one of my friends. And then I had to give her ID number and her name, her phone number. Or there's a number of different programs that you can do through the Jewish agencies. So things like kibbutzes and like live-in Ulpan programs. There's one called Bayit Brodetsky, which is in Tel Aviv in the university. There's some all around the country where you can essentially stay in dorms for 5 months and do an intensive Ulpan course, and it's like 5,000 shekels or something very, very cheap. And I know that for me, I had to give them an address of where I was arriving, because that's the address that they give you your voucher for the taxi at the airport when you get to Ben Gurion.
I can also say that when I made Aliyah a month after my Masa program ended. So towards the end of my Masa program, I took advantage of it being like a slower month and having a little extra free time. And I went apartment hunting. And I signed the contract. That way, again, it was required to have an Israeli address for your Aliyah visa. So that way I had that address, and it was a great way to do that as well. So if you're still here on your Masa program and you're considering and or already in the process of doing it, definitely start looking while you're here, because it is easier to do from within Israel. But it's always possible to do it from abroad. It's just not ideal. Any other panelists want to answer this?
The landlords or the roommates that you're gonna live with, they want to see you first, and they want to know who you're gonna live with. So they don't want to risk it that maybe you want to Aliyah or you just bailed on them. So they want to see you. And the apartment market here is competitive a lot, especially in Tel Aviv. So it's better that you're here and you be there in person and meet them.
One thing I would advise though is if you are going to be looking for an apartment, everything here is done on Facebook. So get on Facebook, get your family on Facebook to help you, like message people, set up viewings for when you get here. Because I think I spent my first 2 weeks here every day just going from house viewing to house viewing to house viewing. And within 2 weeks, I found an apartment. But I have friends that took a lot longer. So if you can come with an idea of of some viewings booked in, I think that's really helpful and means that if you are staying with friends and things, you don't have to stay too long.
So there was another question. Tyler, you had a question. Do you want to ask that? Tyler Davis, you had a question?
Is there, it was kind of answered, is there a go-to website for apartment hunting, but it said Facebook?
So the Facebook.
There's also Yad Shtayim, which I think someone already posted in the chat, which is in Hebrew, but use Google and you can translate it. There's also something on Telegram called Doron, Gooron, and it's like an AI robot, and you can speak to it in English or Hebrew. Tell it what you're looking for, your budget, and every day it will send you relevant matches, and it can go through Facebook, Yad Shtayim, and any other posts. They would be my main places.
I would suggest to use the Hebrew group also, not just leave them out and look for the English ones, but there are a lot of options in the Hebrew version of the groups.
I also want to give one tip. Finding an apartment in Tel Aviv specifically, it's really hard. When you see an apartment you like, check the person who posted it on Facebook. If you have shared friends, even if you're not in touch, check with them if they can help. That's the biggest tip I can give you.
Also, as part of the Facebook group, the Making Aliyah with Masa Facebook group, some of these topics I'm going to be making posts in the coming weeks about as well. So that'll hopefully help everyone get more information.
Yeah, and also here I'm sending in a chat a site that has a bunch of other sites that you can use. It has a lot of the Facebook groups that you can use.
There was also a question, I forget who asked it, how people are managing financially right now during the COVID crisis, as a lot of people are out of work.
I would like to answer this question since I'm currently in Halat. So basically, Halat is unpaid leave, unpaid from the company, but it means that you have some help from the government. So literally all the taxes you are paying during the year when you work, this is the time to get them back. And usually you get like around 75–80% of your regular salary. So that helps me to, to manage this situation. And I'm not sure that if it's for everyone, but usually it's 100 for 100 days. So it means during this 100 day, you receive like 75–80%. And later on, you have like very, very small payment. So you have to find a new position during these 3 months.
Are there any people in the group here who want to ask questions to any of the panelists specifically, or a general question?
Yes, I did have a question for Kim. Kim, I'm so sorry. I feel bad because I just want to know what you said that you did a master program that you literally got to choose what you like. That sounds intriguing to me. Where you just got to choose what you did.
It's called Maslul, Maslool. So it's like,
you can put this like off because I want to talk.
So if you guys want to ask questions, shoot me a message privately, and I'll call your name out shortly.
Sure.
Continue answering, Ham.
I continue here?
Continue.
Okay. So it's a program that you tell the organizer that you want to study or volunteer or do internship, and they arrange it the possible ways. And then however it is, like 5 to 10 months, you can attend the program.
It's M-A-S-S, how do you spell that? I'm so sorry.
M-A-S-L-O-O-L. They changed it similarly, so I don't know. Yeah. So yeah, they give you the ulpan with the package and the dorms.
Okay.
Like pretty much like every Masa program, but it's just you can do whatever you want, but you have to do something.
I work for this program, so if you want more information, I will give you my number in private.
That would be great. Oh my God, thank you guys so much. Thank you so much.
Anyone else want to answer this question? No?
I want to ask if there is like a university of nutrition or something like that in English here, and how is like working here as a nutrition.
So relating to the university question, that should be asked towards Nefesh B'Nefesh, because none of us really are that familiar with all of the universities within Israel.
Okay.
Can anyone answer the relationship to the nutritionist job within Israel?
Can I answer maybe? Hi, I'm Sophia. I'm right now studying, finishing my Masa program, and it's healthy lifestyle. And we are taught nutrition. And as we were told, in Israel, you cannot work as a nutrition unless you have a diploma as a doctor. So you have to finish university for like 5 years to become a nutrition here.
Okay.
You don't need to be a doctor. You need to be a nutrition.
You can be like a consultant, but you cannot be a nutrition, like specifically. You can like, call yourself like a consultant in food consultant or something, but you cannot be called like a nutrition specifically.
I do want to say that to avoid people talking over each other, I do kindly ask that you message me within the chat if you do have a question, to avoid people overlapping with one another as well. Juliet, you had a question?
Yes, I do. Hi, everyone. How are you? I wanted to know, like, how is your relationship, like, being away from your parents, brothers, sister, like, from your family and from your friends? And, like, someone also asked, like, how do you meet people here, like, to feel at home, even though we are far away?
Does anyone want to answer that one?
I can take it. I feel like I'm answering a lot of these, so I apologize.
Anna, how about you? Danny, both you and Danny can answer. Anna.
Anna, you want to go first?
Okay. I'm not sure that I said correctly. Yeah.
Danny, so you answer it.
Sorry.
Okay.
So basically, I started to attend a lot of meetups and a lot of events, like connected to my professional career, like, and also just something what I'm interested in, like in languages, and try to find the interest. Like I started to dance hall, and that's how I met my girls. Just, of course, you know, nothing can be compared to your families and your friends over there. But I would say Israelis and all Alims very, very easygoing, and it's very easy to make friendship.
Danny, did you want to answer it as well?
I'll just add like my 2 cents. The family, like being away from my family wasn't ever really that much of an issue. It's been a lot harder because of COVID, obviously. I think once you know that you can't go home, it like just having that option removed makes it a lot harder. But I speak to my family a lot. They come here, I go home. It's like, that's never really, I mean, sometimes you'll have like, if you're having like a bad day and like, you know, then when you're feeling like rough, it can be like, you can wish that you know, had your friends or family nearby, but I would say like 99% of the time, it's not really something that plays on my mind. As for friends, that was my biggest concern when I came here. I was terrified that I wouldn't be able to make any friends. And you kind of just pick people up, or at least for me, it just kind of picked people up along the way. Working was an amazing way to meet people. I mean, I'm not being paid to say this, but Masa and the Masa events were a great way to meet people. Going to the gym, like it just happens. Like you just meet, like everyone wants to make friends. Like all Olim want to meet other Olim, so it just happens.
Yeah. If you sorry, go ahead, Garrett.
Oh, no, you go ahead, Yoel.
No, I was gonna say another one is sports. If you're big into sports, it's another really good one. Like before I got injured, I was playing a lot of soccer, and so I met a handful of good friends from playing soccer and then playing basketball. Also, just like in Yarkon Park, also met a handful of people that way. And then they're like I like playing sports, so like I'm just involved in the different sports groups, like volleyball groups and basketball groups and soccer groups. And so that's been a good way for me to meet a lot of people.
I do also want to add, in terms of meeting people, the Masabres and the Masa community as a whole, we've created a bunch of various different WhatsApp groups and Facebook groups that you guys are welcome to join. We have like a foodies group. I think we have a board games group. We have a sporting group. We recently started, if I'm not mistaken, a movie or a TV show group. And there's so many more that I'm not even mentioning. I think we also have a musicians group. So these are also other great ways to do that as well. And thank you, Tamar, for sharing the link to that in the chat here as well. I know Holly Millett, you had a question.
Hello. Okay, so my question was similar to the question that was just asked. It was, what made you want to make Aliyah, and do you feel like you're accomplishing that goal, and are you happy here?
Is it a specific question to somebody?
No.
We're happy. I do, yeah. I think if you're doing something that you really like, and yeah, it's, I don't know what to say. I think it's, for me, it was the best decision, and it's hard, but you know, otherwise I'm from the Netherlands, and I think everything is so well organized there. For me, it's so boring. So I like some challenges. But of course, like sometimes I have to, for example, I'm waiting for my driving license already for like 5 months, and I'm calling them every week. I paid like 300 shekels. It's not coming. It's like, I don't know. It's part of the deal, but besides that, people are so much. We talked about this Masa events. I met amazing people there, and they're now my best friends. So if you're staying in contact with Masa, everything will be fine. They will help you.
Joel, this question is not specifically to you, but directed at you in some ways. What is it like making Aliyah as a child of Israeli parents? Because it is different than making it as just a Jew from being abroad.
Questions for me for Israeli parents?
Correct. Because it is a different process. So can you take a couple of minutes and explain us that process?
So here's the thing. My parents are Colombian. They're not Israeli. So yeah, I don't have Israeli parents.
So Tamar lied.
My parents did live
My mother is Israeli.
for 7 years, but I don't have Israeli parents.
But you were born here, correct?
Yeah, because my parents did live here for 7 years, and I was born here, but like I don't have Israeli parents though. Like they were never actually citizens, they were never actually citizens while they were here.
Maybe I can just clarify. I meant if you have parents who have Israeli citizenship, not if they were really born there.
I can answer this question because I'm Israeli.
Great.
I am Israeli, if you want me to answer. So the process is basically the same. The only thing is the benefit, like when you arrive here in Israel, you won't receive everything in the airport. For example, you receive the money that the government give you, like you receive a check, but the provisory Teudat Zehut, for example, your ID card, you won't receive in the airport. You have to go to the Misad HaKlita, that is how do I translate that? Misad HaPnim, sorry, it's like the Ministry of Interior here, for you to do your provisory ID. What else I have to do? Like your process for your Bituach Leumi, your is you have to fill the documents not in the airport. you have to go to Misada Pitata, that is the Ministry of Integration here. You have to go there for you to do the documents and for them to submit it to the Bitoach Leumi, that's the sorry, it's hard to translate when you're already here. That is the social security here for you to start all the process for the health.
Bitoach Leumi is national insurance.
So the only thing that I had a difficulty with, sorry?
Bitoach Leumi is national insurance.
Yes, national insurance, thank you. So the difficulty part for me wasn't the whole process of it. It was the bureaucracy that we have here, because like some stuff that for me should be done faster got a little bit stuck because for me when I arrived, the Hebrew was a barrier. So I had friends. So what helped me was friends that already did Aliyah before. So they helped me with the process and with the Hebrew. Because when you go to those ministries, and there isn't a lot of people that speak a proper English, so it's hard for it to communicate. But for example, if you know someone from Masada that can help you, or there's a lot of communities, Facebook pages, people that can help you, and it'll be easier. But after you do those kind of things, the whole process is the same. You receive the same benefits, like financial benefits, for the same amount of month, and the same rights. The only difference is how the process are done here inside here. And that's what I passed through. Any other question regarding that? I don't know if I clarify everything.
No, you hit everything pretty well on that one. Thank you.
Okay.
Gabby, you had a... Sorry?
Yeah?
Gabby, you had a question?
My question is if anyone had done a master's program after they'd come here, and if they used the money. I know that like they will give you some money towards a degree. So I was wondering if anyone had done a master's, and like if you how the Ulpan, like what was the timing of it?
So regarding the Ulpan, when you make Aliyah, I can answer that one. I can't answer the master's question. But the Ulpan, when you make Aliyah, you have 18 months to start an Aliyah, Ulpan course that is subsidized through the government. Not all Ulpan, though, are subsidized. So some of them are not subsidized, and they can cost 7,000 to 8,000 shekels. Some of them are subsidized. When I made Aliyah, I took an Ulpan course that was subsidized. It was 5 days a week, 5 hours a day for 5 months. During that time, I worked part-time to also make some extra money. But that's the deal with the Ulpan. And then after you finish that, you can do another Ulpan. Again, some of it might not as be heavily subsidized by the government, but slightly. Or you might have to pay out of your own pocket for it completely. Can anyone answer the master's question she asked?
Was this about getting funding?
Yes.
So from my understanding, as long as you don't already hold a master's degree, you can get funding, and I believe it's up until the age of 30. You do have to do Ulpan first, I believe. I could be wrong.
You have to have a certain level of Hebrew.
Yeah, it could actually be 32 for masters. I'm not 100% sure. I think it's for a master's. I think it's slightly higher than 30. But you basically have to go get the certificate from the Ulpan, take it to the course that you want to do, along with your transcripts and everything that you already have. And also, I believe that it has to be in like a related topic. It can't be like, I have a degree in psychology. I couldn't just go and say like, okay, I want to go and do another degree in a completely different topic that has nothing to do with psychology, like, I don't know, art or something. And then you basically, there's a couple of steps, but you have to get an offer from the university. You take it to Mizrad Klita, and then they pay, from what I understand, it's up to 9, I can't remember the numbers now, but it's basically the majority of your tuition is paid for you, more or less.
So it's a prerequisite that you cannot have a master's beforehand?
You can't have, I think if you have another master's already, like if you've already completed that level, so like if you have a bachelor's, you shouldn't get another bachelor's. You can get a master's. If you have a master's, you can get a PhD, but it's kind of up to their discretion. So you can put in an application to do a different master's degree and get funding, but it's on a case-by-case basis.
Okay.
From what I understand. No worries, my pleasure.
And I think you said something in the group about having someone who was in the psych program already. Who's in a?
Oh no, I said I have a friend that's currently doing a master's at TAU, but he is Israeli. He's half Israeli, half American, so he isn't getting any help from the government.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Just something I want to add, not about the masters, but also the Ministry of Aliyah gives a voucher for if you want to take a class for professional development, like if you want to learn coding or I don't know, some workshop about like carpentership or something else that you think it will help you in your career. The Ministry of Aliyah subsidizes it, like they give you a voucher of up to 7,000 shekels or 70% of the program cost. The government pays for it.
Also, I do want to add in terms of getting funding for university, not just master's, but any form of a degree. If it is in Hebrew, you get more funding from the government than if it's in English. Because they want you to learn it in the native language here in Israel, which is Hebrew. I am not sure the percentage difference, but there is a percentage difference. Going on to the next question. Chloe, you had a question you wanted to ask. Do you still want to ask that question?
No, I think it was answered. I wanted to know if I wanted to get my master's, would it be recommended to like do Ulpan first or do Ulpan while I'm getting my master's? But Dani said that you need to do Ulpan before your master's anyways, so.
They do require you to have a certain level of Hebrew, and it depends on the degree and the type of, and the, I'm losing my English here. The degree and I guess the category or subject it's in, if that makes any sense to you.
Yeah, thank you.
There's a question that I want to ask to the panelists here. What's the experience like about if there are any problems about making Aliyah if you have only one Jewish parent?
I would love to answer this question. I think this is very typical situation for a lot of Olim from former USSR. Basically, my grandfather, from like the father of my mother, is Jewish. So it means none of my parents is Jewish by halacha. And basically, when I applied for a Masa program, it was the same paperwork as I applied for Aliyah, and I just need to prove all the rules. It's a little bit more papers and some photos and everything, you know, what can prove the connection from myself to my mother to my grandfather and to my great mother. Yeah, so it's a little bit more steps.
Amazing. There's another question that was very common that was asked on our survey. How long does the process take to make Aliyah?
For me, it took a couple of months. I could have done it quicker. I could have probably done it in about 3 weeks if I really wanted to. With COVID-19, my brother has been trying to do it for like 3 months now and is still nowhere near getting here because of the process, because he's stuck with documents and stuff. But for me, it was like very, very quick.
Yeah, for me from within Israel, because I had all the documents ready, it was like 2 weeks.
Yeah, for me it takes around 3 months, but because in Brazil, when I did Aliyah, there was a huge wave of Aliyah from Brazil, so it took a little bit longer. But if you already have the documents done and all the things are already prepared for it, I think a month or maybe less, depending if you already have a job, you already found a place to stay, you can speed the process.
For me, it took about a month in total. I started the process in January and I didn't finish till August, but all of the time that I put into it was about a month in total. But for every person, it can be different. For everyone from a different country, it can be different. It can range really from like a couple of weeks if you're doing it from within Israel to maybe even a year if you're doing it from even within or abroad. So, but it can be a long, wide range of time. Hallie, you had another question you wanted to ask?
Yeah, sure. We all have a very lovely romantic view, I think, of Aliyah, and I'm glad that things went smoothly for many of you. But was there anything really bad about your experience, or like, okay, woohoo, you came to Israel, you have a place to live. Now, like, just what were some common slaps in the face?
Yeah, it's a great question. I'll tackle it first. So I'll say that that you do get punched in the face a couple times when you move here for sure. Like, so for example, for me, like I came out on the Masa program, which was helpful. And you kind of have a group of friends when you get here, but it still took a while for me to make friends, and I don't have family here. And so there's like kind of that feeling of loneliness a little bit in the beginning that you kind of have to be able to handle if it's something new for you. Israel can be sometimes rough around the edges if you go like the supermarkets or the pharmacy or these little things that like I'm from the US, so you're used to just convenience and customer service and everything just being like super orderly and nice. And then just, you know, I also wasn't sure professionally what it is that I wanted to do. So I really kind of had to network my butt off to find a job that I really wanted. Then there was also coming from the States, you know, I started making like, just because of my career choices, I wanted to kind of switch careers. I started making half the amount of money. So like now you're tackling making new friends, you're tackling making less money in a more expensive city. And then also you're in a city where like customer service and little things might be a little bit more inconvenient. So at first you're kind of hit with a wave of new stuff, but then once you kind of get used to it and you find your rhythm, it becomes really nice. And then kind of when you see yourself on the other side of that, then you really are like, nice, like I've made it, I've established myself, and now it feels really, really good to be here. And like Tel Aviv, for me personally, is like, it's an amazing city, and then you can really, really enjoy it, but it takes some time to find your grounding. You know, like I've definitely had my ups and downs throughout the process, and you kind of learn how to dance with it. You learn your rhythm, but it's not going to be like rainbows and sunshine the whole way in. Like there will be a lot of rainbows and a lot of sunshine, but there's also going to be very tough moments. And the other panelists can speak to their experience when they first arrived. But for a lot of my friends, like their first 6 months, like I'm not counting the Masa experience, because that's like, you're not really living in Israel, like right after the Masa experience, the 6-7 months were not easy. Like everyone kind of had a challenge adjusting to things. So it's definitely like your mentality and your spirit does get a little tested, but I tell you, being on the other side of it, it's good stuff, and it's definitely worth going through, at least for me. And you feel very strong. Like at this point, I feel like bring it on. Like, you know, like I can handle so much more stuff. And also you realize kind of what you're made of, because you literally just moved to a whole new country, and like it's not an easy country. And so yeah, I would say like you do it definitely tests your toughness a little bit, but in my experience it's 120% worth it.
I want to say I think you hit the nail on the head pretty much perfectly with that. My only addition would be bureaucracy. Like, I think I spent I think in my first 2 weeks, I went to the bank 8 times. I remember crying in the bank because I was just so frustrated with like, just like everything here takes longer than it feels like it should. And again, it is one of those things that you kind of just get used to. You know, or like I ordered a TV and then like the guy would just turn up at my house at random times with the TV and I was never home because I worked. And I was like why? Why do you just turn up at my house? No, don't tell me the day. Don't tell me the time. It's like some things are just like getting a housing contract and like doing like your electric and phone contracts and water bills. It's like all of that like stuff that is like the real, just it's just a pain. But then it does like, that was the only thing I think that really frustrated me and like wore me down was like times dealing with bureaucracy and dealing with Misrata Panim and the Office of Immigration and the Office of Aliyah and stuff. It's like anytime you have to deal with Israeli Post or anything like that, it can feel like it takes 4 times the amount of time it should. But if you had to ask me, like, that by no way is like, if that's the worst thing that I have to say, then I think you can tell my experience has been pretty good. And again, I completely agree with what y'all said about like, you totally find out what you're made of. You totally realize that like, I can do this. I've got this. Like, and it really like, I think it's like made me grow as a person, the experience. Yeah, I would say bureaucracy here is a headache.
So we have a Army question. So this one is for Sebastian. I know I'm going to jump in a little as well. So when you make Aliyah, are you required to join the Army? Or are you recommended? Is it voluntary? Can you explain what that process is for us, Sebastian?
Oh, yeah. It depends on your age. So if you do Aliyah when you're 18, you're obliged to. It always like has a certain amount of time being in the country also involved. If, for an example, you want to make Aliyah to enlist in the Army as soon as you got in Israel, you won't be able to. You have to wait a full year because they don't have any records on you, and that's just not possible. But if you come here with a program, like I did, you will spend the time of the program, and after finishing it, you can go into the Army. So I just like, if somebody from this chat wants to join the Army, I would recommend to plan some programs, maybe get into Tabar, maybe Sela, maybe something like that, maybe Masa also. There's a lot of guys that do Masa. And after Masa, they realize that they don't have a really good level of Hebrew, or they don't necessarily have a field or a job where to develop. They choose to go to the Army to make something like a new experience, something a little bit more difficult than they've done in their lives. And even if they are past the age of drafting, they can write some letters, go to the drafting point and talk to people, and they actually can go into the Army. So if you do Aliyah when you're 18 till 19, you have to do 2.5 years of service. If you're doing Aliyah when you're 20 or 21, it goes down. So till 22, you have to do 1.5 years of service.
I do want to jump in.
That's for boys. For girls, they are other ages, and I think if I'm not mistaken, it's till 21. Girls, for women, till 22 maybe. So, and they are obliged to do the full service, that it's 2 years till 19. From 20 and on, it's less.
So I do want to say that in terms of the voluntary time, to answer the question, the ages kind of keep changing, because when I made Aliyah, it was a different age, and it was like 23 and a half. It wasn't even a full number. So what I'm going to do is after this video chat, after this event tonight, I wrote down some notes. I'm going to do some more research for everyone and post the answers to, for instance, this question about what age you are when you're required to join the Army, what age you are when it's voluntary for both boys and girls. I'll be making a post about that in our Making Aliyah Facebook group. I'll also be making a post about some links to find apartments as well. But there are also organizations and current Facebook groups and organizations. For instance, Sabara, they're a main organization when you make Aliyah. If you want to make Aliyah directly into the Army, they're a great way to do that.
I think Sabara is the only way to not wait the full year, because Sabara is 3 months. So you do the Aliyah, you go to Israel, you do three months of preparation, and then you're drafted instantly to the Army. You don't have to wait a whole year. If you come by yourself without no program, you have to wait a whole year or even more. So, bureaucracy that people talk about.
Correct. Are there any final questions that we want to ask before we start closing it up here? No? Okay. So before the meeting started, I asked all of the panelists to prepare an answer to the following question. What is the biggest tip you would give someone who is thinking about or has already decided to make Aliyah? This was a question that took me a while to think about in terms of asking, because there were so many other questions I wanted to ask, but that is the biggest point that I want everyone to hit. So I'm going to start with Dani to answer this one, and I'll just work my way across here.
I think we kind of already touched upon it, but I definitely think that you just have to take everything in your stride and have a bit of a stiff upper lip and like not let the small mundane things get to you. That would be my biggest tip. Like this is an amazing place and I'm really happy that I moved here, and sometimes like the everyday like can get you down a bit. So just have like a stiff upper lip and don't be afraid to have a bit of chutzpah and stand up for yourself when you need to.
My one tip is, and this was actually recommended to me when I made Aliyah, something a lot of people do is whenever they get paperwork, they just throw it in their apartment. I recommend putting it in a binder or like a large accordion folder and keeping every single piece of paper you get together. And that way, when you go to a government office and they tell you you have the wrong paperwork, you could give them the binder and just let them pick what they need. Because that way you won't have to go back 3, 4, 5 times like a lot of Olim do. And it's a one shot and done sort of thing. Sebastian?
Yep. So I would recommend planning meticulously the first year of your being in Israel, because I'm a volunteer in a program with lone soldiers, and one of the things that they tell me that they wasted a lot of time waiting, bureaucracy, not knowing what they want to do. So if you're already decided that you want to go to Israel, you want to make Aliyah, plan the whole year, maybe, if you can do that, like the program that I'm going to attend to, the city I'm going to live in, the house I want to, all those things, people that are going to live with, if you can, and Hebrew. Hebrew, it's a must. If you have no Hebrew, like other than maybe a couple of words that you can do in English, if you have no Hebrew in the army, you get 0. If you have no Hebrew, like you can't communicate. Obviously, people speak English here, but Hebrew is a must. So Ulpan, or a program with a lot of hours in Hebrew, should do the work for you. That's it.
Tamara, would you like to go?
I would say a lot of patience, because I think one of the hardest things that I had to do when I did Aliyah was bureaucracy, because regarding my status of Oleh, I had some problems because ministries, because they didn't know exactly how to treat me here. So they got a mistakes with my paperwork. So patience and not desperate yourself with the things, because you'll go through those situations. You're not the only one that has through it, so you always can ask for help. So to calm down and have a lot of patience to deal with the things, and look for groups, Facebook groups. For example, for Brazilians, there is like a non-government organization can help with you and can help you. I know there is Netflix benefits for Americans, so look for those type of organizations. Probably most of them have Facebook pages. They can give you tips, and even find someone that can volunteer with, like, to go with you to those ministries and meet with some social, how say it in English? Sorry.
What is it in Hebrew?
Sorry, I forgot how to say in English. I don't know in Hebrew, I just know in Portuguese, so. So, yeah, that's the problem. So, okay, so they can orientate you. So you look for those organizations. Probably there is one. So that's my 2 tips I'll give to you. So, and remember, you're not alone.
I do want to add that shortly we'll be sending a link to a survey for everyone, the panelists and participants alike, to fill out, as Tamar mentioned in the beginning, about your experience on here, what could be better, what you liked, and what we didn't answer. So shortly tomorrow we'll be sending that in the chat log. And ignore the cat crying in the background here. Anna, you can go.
Yeah, so basically the biggest tip I can recommend, maybe to all Olim, but specifically to Olim from former USSR, don't hesitate to ask for help, because people here really like to help and accept this help. I know that everyone wants to achieve everything like by their own, but sometimes you can spend, like just what Tamara mentioned, like someone can go to you in any misrad, like in any ministry, help you, while you can spend like hours and hours there. So this one is the biggest tip. And another one, like communication, everything based here on communication and networking. And don't hesitate to, to just send a message to random people, like in LinkedIn or Facebook, or like if you like can imagine how they can help you, something like that. Be brave.
Amazing. Hem?
Yeah. I want to like use every opportunity to meet new people. It can be on Facebook groups, it can be on meetups. Now everything is online and it's super easy to meet new people, meet for a coffee for like 10 minutes or half an hour. Everyone has time. And yeah, expand your like people that you know, so that you don't know who can help you when. And yeah, I agree with Anna, don't be shy to ask anything. It's just like Olim, because you come here by your own choice, unlike the Israelis. And also Olim like the other Olim, so they would try to help you as much as they can.
Amazing. Yoel?
I would say probably the biggest thing would be to know that you are so much more versatile and capable of things. Like when I first came here, I thought, I could only do like things A and B and maybe C. And then you get here and you realize you can do A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. And so it just, in Israel, for whatever reason, in Tel Aviv, you are just, it gives you opportunities that you otherwise wouldn't be able to do. Like it stretches you in ways, especially professionally, that you might not, it gives you opportunities you might not have had back home. And so it's to take on those opportunities. Like if you've never done, I don't know, if you're interested in marketing, for example, and you've never really done marketing, you have a much higher chance of getting a great marketing job here in Israel than you would maybe back home, because and if you speak English, there's just more opportunities. And so it's to kind of like take advantage of the extra opportunities that are here, and to know that even if you don't have so much experience in one thing, you are a lot more capable of being able to do that thing. Like professionally, I'm doing things that I never thought I would be doing, and like I'm doing great at them. Whereas in the beginning, I wasn't so confident if I could do them. And like these opportunities I wouldn't have had back home. So like when you arrive here, I don't know, just like it seems like, especially if you speak English, there's just like a lot more opportunity, and Israelis and just the international community, just they trust you more with that kind of stuff. So take advantage of like the extra opportunities that are here.
Hannah, would you like to go?
Is this Anna? This one?
Yeah.
Yeah, so my biggest tip is stopping to comparing to what I had before. I met Aliyah when I was 30 years old, so I had a big career back in France, and I had a certain way of life, money-wise, and my lifestyle was like much bigger than what I had before. So I was like always comparing to what I had and what I have. And it was like a real struggle at the beginning, because I was like, oh, my friend have this and I don't have this anymore. And at some point I just stopped comparing and started also learning to be kind with myself, and like, okay, you're starting from zero. It's okay not to have what you used to have in the past. And from that, I took this much more easier, because I was like, okay, step by step, and to be proud of what I was doing. It's the best tip, like never forget that you're starting something from scratch, and most of us are no family or friends, and it's gonna be hard, but it's totally worth it. But like leat, step by step, everything's gonna be okay. Everything is new and everything's gonna be okay. That's my biggest tip. Stopping comparing.
Vital?
Thank you. I agree with you, Hannah. So first of all, I want to tell you all, don't be so hard on yourself. Like I speak with many people that want to make Aliyah, and it's like, of course it's a big issue, but you can come and you can always go back if it doesn't work. So I told myself I will come for at least a year, because you know, you have to really try. And if it doesn't work, I go back. But I'm sure you will not go back, but you know, you have the option. So keep that in mind. And also the other tip I want to give you is that I know some people that went back, so I also like did a small research. Why did they go back, or why did they went back? And mostly it was because of the Hebrew, because they didn't put enough effort in learning the language. So it was too hard for them to manage here and to meet people. So what I would recommend you all is really come here and start immediately with learning Hebrew, or even already before you're making Aliyah. It's also something I didn't do, but I still manage. And after I realized I really need the language, I started learning more and really putting a lot of effort in it. So that's another tip. And of course, stay in contact with Masa. We don't hear you.
Sorry. Sorry about that. Thanks everyone for answering that question. I'm going to pass it off to Tamar to close it up.
Thank you, Garrett. Can you now hear me? Sorry, I had some problems in the session. So I want to start with saying thank you to Garrett for putting this together, and for all the panelists for, you know, taking the time, thinking about what they want to bring to this special session. And I think that it's only the first one of many more. One of the amazing thing is the alumni in Masa. I understand that they have the power to help others, and we can always, we do for one another. I want to say that you can also hear that I'm not a native English speaker, and also language for me to work in English it's a struggle for a long time. All the people here know that it's not a perfect one, but it's basically the same, like what will be for you the minute you start talking in Hebrew. I want to say one more thing about that, because one thing that we didn't really talk about is the Israelis' point of view. And when you come to Israel, just remember that Israelis don't understand, they don't know the story. Nobody teaching us about Olim in our age from around the world. Nobody teaching us about Jewish communities outside of New York, basically. We don't know much about it. So a lot of times when Olim are coming to Israel, people might think maybe they came as birthright or as anything else, that it has a big, you know, that is well known here. And it's basically on you to tell them, no, I chose this country. This is my home. I'm here. This is my first step. And I want to be part of this. And this is what we're also trying to do in Masa. We don't want to build an Olim, Olim community, because there are, all the Olim here can say there are different Olim communities in Israel. We are trying to build a shared community with Israeli tzabars to tell the story again from our point of view, to make this country a country of us all. So thank you, everybody. Be patient, as everybody said. I know some things here are like, what? But this country is only 72, and look what we reached. So some things are still far behind, bureaucracy and a lot of other things. And as Hannah said, laat leat and breathe. It's also hard for us sometimes. I want to say that tomorrow, everybody here that asked us about opportunities. Tomorrow there is a lecture with Anna and with Yoel. So you are welcome also to follow in the group. They will share it. Please, once again, answer the survey. In the end of the survey, you're going to have the link to the Aliyah group again. And the last thing is that we also have a quiz night on this Thursday night, fun quiz night. Once again, to have a night together until we finish this Corona time and we can actually meet, and we're going to see you on Friday dinner or any other event. Zeu, thank you, everybody, and hope to see you soon. And follow us, and we are here to help you in whatever needed. So.
I also want to add that we're posting, Yoel just posted the cover group for everyone to join our WhatsApp and Facebook groups. I just posted the main Making Aliyah with Masa Facebook group. You guys are all welcome to join that group. And as I said before, we're going to slowly build that group up. We're going to try to do like weekly posts about different interested topics that everyone is interested in and wants to know more about. We're going to work with other organizations, try to have them do a couple of posts in there as well. So thank you everyone for joining. And
Garrett, one sec. I just want to say, if those groups are for you guys, so it's not just about we posting events or posting anything. Use it. There are people who can give you all the answers you need in there. Use it. It's yours. Good evening.
Have a great
night.
Tov.
And thank you, Garrett, for
Bye-bye.
organizing this.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Tov.